Okay, to set the wonderful record straight, we're going to do a magnificent song that we all wrote together, me, Anton, and James Welton, who went on to become a complete underground star and a magnificent benefactor and contributor towards Resonance. This is a tribute to Jim for all the wonderful work he did with the Homosexuals up until 1980. Oh, the walls move, the light hastens and the lamp won't touch the dark. If the lamp won't, I don't. Capitalize on the random snippet of sound. Orchestras emerge from the spoon and plate. Sinatra's back, leaping from the logarithm. Amends the rhythm by a rhythm. Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. The rhythm of a city, a car of roads. A people of house, a fog of gas pumping the pump. Fueling the lorry can all. Refuge sleeps in the singles bar. And the actors can only tell lies. Do you lie? No, never. A political corpse all over this world, changing sides, changing colour. Green with envy, red with fury. Doors that slam. Oi! Good. Let's hear it for Resonance.
Wow, what a performance. I tell you what, after 14 years of broadcasting here on the show, I have never been quite as soaked to the skin at the end of a live session as I am now. I am completely perspiring with sweat, whereas Bruno doesn't seem to have a drop on him. You're so cool.
No, it's all soaked into my t-shirt. No, but it's honest sweat, you know. It's honest sweat, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in and playing.
It's a wonderful spiritual moment for me, like a reconnecting, you know, because all of these songs were written a long, long time ago, but they were never performed properly because of our kind of like personal habits. I used to go to a spiritual place, but it was kind of like through a filter of fear. Now they're all performed with love in my heart. And I just hope that the original people that I was involved in, I hope they found the same peace that we have in our music.
Indeed. Now, the new Homosexuals, as you are now,
right,
when can people come? Well, you've been playing with them for a while, but when can people come and see you live? I've just had the pleasure, and I recommend it highly.
We're going to be playing, I think, a week on Sunday for a charity, refugee charity gig with my friends from Arrows of Love, and then I'll let you know when we've got like certain definitely. That's all been arranged, but it looks like a week on Sunday.
Fantastic,
yeah.
Fantastic.
I'll let you know when you can announce it. Yeah.
Where do you like to point people online? Is it the astralglamour.com website, and everyone can link to everything from there?
No, especially if they just come like straight to me. Well, I don't know, Ben, is the Astral Glamour?
All the links are there.
Oh, okay.
Because you're on Facebook, aren't you? And
yeah, I'm
the whole
on
bit.
Facebook is Bruno Aleph Wizard, but I've got too many friends at the moment. I've got to cull some seals because there was a platoon of seals masquerading as people that came onto my site, so I've got to get rid of about 100 of them. But people can either come to Bruno Aleph Wizard or go to astralglamour.com, and where we have 24-hour people manning the boards, right? Oh yeah, that's the drummer, yeah.
You mentioned a new album. Details?
Yeah, well, hopefully before November we'll be going down to Cornwall to possibly record with my old engineer who's got a wonderful studio down there. All my boys are from Cornwall, you know, they're like Cornish tin men, revolutionaries, you know. That's why they're all in the band, you know, because I hate this English cultural imperialism, you know, that's grown up as a direct consequence of empire. So it's time to set everybody free by just making music and then we don't have to do a Faustian deal. To actually get our music out there, and that's why Resonance is so important, you know, like the new media, even though you've been going for a while, the attitude is one of like, you know, just letting people have a voice. If it's interesting, get it out there. So we'll be going down there hopefully before November to record an album of completely new songs. I've got albums worth of stuff, you know, but when I got like in '83, when I was kind of like bust, and you know, I was living in a squat in Clapham, and I had about 63 albums worth of stuff on cassettes that we'd recorded, and we got broken into and it got stolen, right? And Anton, I was still working with, was like, oh my God, all this music. I said, you know what? we've been carrying it around. We didn't have 63 albums that were stolen. We had 63 cassettes that nobody would have heard. Leave it behind, you know. So people think because other members of the band put out loads of stuff that they were kind of like prolific, but there's about 25 years worth of stuff that I've got which will be ready to put out in the next 2 or 3 years. So.
The allegory of the tortoise and the hare springs to mind when I look at your career. I mean,
absolutely.
You've said before that you weren't a punk legend. You were one of the sort of the undiscovered ones. But now you could argue that perhaps your influence is more present within the scene here, especially in London, and I imagine in America as well, than some of the people you'd have been supporting at the Roxy back in the mid-70s.
It's very, very kind of you to say that. If I was somebody else listening to you say that, I'd say you've got it dead right, but I find it a bit difficult to agree because it's me saying it. But let's just say that there's nothing that's happening now that I didn't foresee in 67, 77, 87, 97, 2007, and that was on to the next century. Now quantum mechanics is going to start discovering what's happening with dark matter, and it's no coincidence that my first record label that I started was called Black Noise Records in 1976. So yes, you will be highly correct in saying that. Yeah.
You came down, you were originally from Sunderland?
Yeah. But when I first come down to London, everybody understood what I was going on about. I said, hey lad, wish the lad had to go, I'll tell the boot the one. I said, do what, mate?
So you came down to London when? End of the 60s?
1968.
How old were you?
18.
And what brought you down here?
Life, because when I was a child growing up in a council estate in the north of England, when I was like 3, 4, 5 years of age, 53, 54, long before the first Sputnik went into space, I used to have recurring dreams about like floating in space in my Dan Dare outfit with my goldfish bowl on my head and looking back on the earth now. You know, when you're a child, you don't articulate the world to yourself the same way you do as an adult. You don't use logic and reason, but you're sensitive to impressions. So I was aware as a child, I was drifting, looking back on this planet where I physically was, and yet I was out in space. And my space mother used to say to me every night, because she used to make me listen to the stars and watch them dance, and she'd say to me, if you're a good boy while you're on this planet, one day I will come and take you home to the stars. So that's what made me come down to London.
And I imagine that the difference between Sunderland and London in those days was probably quite extreme, probably as extreme as the difference between London then and London now.
No, absolutely, no, completely. I mean, people have been, because there's always been like high unemployment rate there, yeah. Then people have been taught not to expect anything from life. Because remember, my father's generation was the generation that came back from the war. My generation was the first generation to have teenagers. Before us, there was no such thing as a teenager. So it's almost been inculcated into the DNA for people not to expect anything from life there. So when I was like saying, I'm listening to the stars sing, I want to go to Africa and see what the stars sound like singing there, some people would say that I grew up with, you think you're better than us. And I'm like, no, I don't think I'm better than you. I just want different things. So yeah, there was a massive gap. That's why it was really important for me to hear people like Bob Dylan when I was 12, 13, him singing like, come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, all that beautiful, beautiful stuff. Plus at the same time, I discovered Dylan Thomas. I was reading Dylan Thomas. And I also read a book in 1961 called The Story of the Blues. So at the age of 11, I already knew where most of that Western popular music came from Africa.
Have you ever been drawn to? I mean, we've got hardly any time. I probably can hardly even pose the question. Have you ever thought of emigrating to the States, where I know you also have a great underground following?
No. I always, when I first went to New York in sort of like '85, because I was taken seriously for ideas. New York was kind of like my spiritual home. I'd always had ideas, but never had money to put them into practice. Right, so I was always an outsider. So as soon as I went to New York, people were like, "Hey man, that's a great idea. Let's do that." So just having that kind of like restored my self-esteem. That ideas are worthwhile, but I always knew the thing about New York was to go there and to be a stranger there, because New York's built on immigration, so you might be the immigrant that's arriving, that's bringing something that can get everybody out of the ghetto, whether it's a spiritual, physical, economic or cultural one. So I always knew that even when I was staying there for a long time, don't say you're living here, say you're living in London and you're visiting. But no, I mean, New York's my spiritual home. I'm always there. There's always part of me that's in this world, but not of it.
Well, we're glad to claim you as an honorary Londoner.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Bruno Wizard and the Homosexuals for coming in, performing live here on the Hello Goodbye Show, Resonance FM. Thank you so much to Lisa Gertz and Tom Kemp for all their hard work today. Thank you to the Pheromones as well for playing at the top of the show. Tune in next Saturday, the 19th of September. We're live in session. We will have Charismatic Megafauna and Zombie Crash. Stay tuned. Coming up next, music from the Congo with Nostalgia, Ja and Boca. Also making a welcome return after the summer break. Perhaps, Bruno, if you would please say hello.
Hello.
Maybe everyone else in the room will kindly shout out goodbye.
Goodbye. Hello.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Very good.
Another show coming up.